Good afternoon. Today we are going to talk about the benefits of camp. Now, when I say the word summer, most people probably think of an ocean breeze, perhaps some waves crashing on the seashore, sand between your toes, things like this. But when I think about it, I think of camp instantly. I've worked at camp the last 4 summers of college, and I've also attended 2 camps. So I know a lot about camp, love camp. So today I'm going to talk about the benefits of camp. Woodlands Camp is where I have worked 3 summers in college, so that is probably the filter I'm going to be talking about. Most camps, though, that I have been involved in, which are around 5 of them, 6 now I believe actually, do things very similarly. So the benefits I'm going to talk about really go for all camps, I would say. But I'm not the only one who loves camp, so do other people. Here are some statistics from the American Camp Association, and there are more than 12,000 day and overnight camps in the United States. There are more than 1.5 million camp staff that are employed every year, and there are more than 11 million children and adults that attend camp in the U.S. And these are just for the camps that are actually recognized by the ACA, so there probably are more. But to begin, there are ultimately 3 categories of people who benefit from camp, and that would be summer and full-time staff, the campers, and the church congregation as a whole. So as far as staff benefits go, first and foremost, they have an opportunity to impact. Something that the director of Woodlands Camp where I have worked, John Estes, he always tells the staff every year, is whatever we do in moderation, the campers will do in excess. So whether that's a positive or negative thing that you do, the campers are going to model after that and probably do it more than you do. So it's something to keep in mind. And it doesn't matter if you're a counselor or support staff. I worked in the dining hall this past summer, and the kids knew my name. Most of them knew my story because they think you're awesome because you work at camp. So it's a great opportunity to impact. The second thing would be to be stretched in your faith. Most of the camps, if it's a Christian camp, will bring weekly speakers to speak in chapel, to speak to the staffers' lives, and so it's an opportunity just to be refreshed by the gospel every week. Another benefit would be love for God and for others. At Woodlands and camps like it, they have small groups, which would involve meeting as 7 to 10 people every week. So you get to know the staff better and get to encourage each other, pray together, worship together. And at Woodlands, we also have accountability partners, which is awesome benefit. It's required, so you can't get out of it. So there's always someone who knows what you're struggling with, always someone to pray with, which is something you should probably do in the normal Christian life, but at camp it's required, so it's a great opportunity. And thirdly, under love God and others, is the idea of love, honor, serve. That was a motto that we used at Woodlands for the staff. It comes from Colossians 3:12-14 and Romans 12:10, both which talk about loving each other and outdoing one another with honor. So that's something that you learn and have to do in order to accomplish furthering God's kingdom together. And the last 2 staff benefits would be the need for God's strength. There is nothing like camp to teach you that you need God to stay awake all day. You have some early mornings, some late nights talking to campers, so some jobs at camp only allow you 4 to 5 hours of sleep. So it's a huge benefit to learn how to last off that with God's strength. And lastly, lifelong friendships. You have some honest conversations with these people, as you can tell from the pictures, a lot of shared experiences. I personally have spent holidays with friends that I've met at camp. In fact, my 9-month-long boyfriend, I met at camp back in 2011, working together. So it's a great place to make those relationships happen. The second people who benefit from camp are obviously campers. That would probably be most obvious to most people. For these campers, they have the benefit of having a week solely focused on a relationship with God. And like I said before, that includes chapel. Woodlands had chapel twice a day, so it's a great opportunity just to focus on that. Also, there was a time set aside just for devotions in the morning, which I know a lot of people struggle with finding that time, so camp is a great opportunity to foster these habits. And then finally, they also involve scripture meditation. Most camps do this, maybe to raise points, whatever. But regardless, it allows campers to take home what they've learned and know how to find truth in Scripture. Secondly, they have the influence of older Christians. There's a trust that comes, it's unbelievable. I've had so many campers come and tell me and say, hey, I've never told anyone this before, but, and it's 1,000 things that they've never told their parents, never told their pastor, because they're afraid. And so it's very cool, the type of relationship that happens at camp. And under that, I also wrote Porch Talks, which at Woodlands happens after lights out. So the campers are allowed to come out to the porches, talk to their counselor until 3, 5 in the morning, whatever, as long as they need. And that is actually something that, according to Psychology Today, in an article about camp, talks about how new relationships, not just with peers, but with trusted adults other than their parents, is actually a huge tool that they will use the rest of their life. It's a huge skill that doesn't always come, so camp actually helps with relational skills as well. And they only have to worry about their relationship with God. Most campers aren't too concerned about their counselor thinks of them necessarily, but they are concerned about what their parents think of them, or their pastor, so it's easier trust. And then finally, like the staff, they get friends for life, which is great. They have shared experiences, they look crazy together, play crazy games. And because of the age we live in, there's a lot of social media engagement, which allows for them to perpetuate relationships beyond camp. And according to a camp director of Camp Hawazi in Maine, he said that kids make new and lasting friendships. My best friend from camp, who I met when I was 7 years old, became my college roommate, and we are still close. So that's a lot of hope for me, since I still have friends from camp. I hope we continue. And finally, the church congregation has benefits of summer camp as well, which maybe would not be the first thing you think of. First of all, it provides youth group unity. Something that Psychology Today also said about camp was, perhaps best of all, camps offer kids a chance to feel like they belong. All those goofy chants and team songs, the sense of common purpose, and attachment to identity that camps promote go a long way to offering children a sense of being rooted. So I would argue that this would also be within youth group itself, not just the camp as a whole. So once they share those experiences together, they can go back home, talk about it for years to come, and they will feel like they are part of something bigger. It also reiterates truth that the church preaches, and I kind of mentioned that already. As the camp staff, they're coming alongside their parents, their pastor, and telling them the same truth that they're told at home, but perhaps in a different way. According to New York Times, there's a camp director, Mr. Black, talks about how camp nowadays, parents want those takeaways. And he's talking from a secular perspective, but it's the same in the Christian realm. They want takeaways from camp. It's just not a week that is there and you get the camp high. It's something that they want to last year-round. So it's something that the church should encourage. And finally, the last benefit that affects the church congregation is that it transformed campers' lives. And hopefully, those campers will go back home into the church and be more effective church members by the way they serve and honor and love those around them. So in conclusion, the three benefits that come from sending campers to camp not only affects the campers themselves, but also the staff, full-time and summer, and the congregation as a whole.